a path by the lake. Wearing my new lawn dress, I was eagerly on my way to a date with Sue, my senior. Not even the overcast sky could dampen the joy of a first date. But then I suddenly tripped on the hem of my dress. My whole body pitched forward like an out-of-control kite, staggering and lurching ahead. In the process, I also knocked over a tall guy who was passing by. Thud. The pain made me see stars. At the same time, a strange-looking device in his hand fell, shattering into pieces on the ground. When I awoke from a brief blackout, a dull ache was throbbing in my head. I lifted a hand to rub my own head, and, wait, short hair? Ah, who cut my hair? I shrieked in terror, but the voice that came out was deep and magnetic. Where was the long hair I was so proud of? I shot upright, and what I saw next nearly made me faint all over again. I saw myself on the ground, frowning and clutching her head. Yes, lying in front of me was me. What the hell? I stared, wide-eyed, and instinctively looked down at my hands. They weren't my hands, but a pair of large, strong hands with long fingers and well-defined knuckles. The me across from me had clearly realized something was wrong, too. She slowly got up. The moment our eyes met, we both blurted out at the same time, "Who are you? Who are you?" The air froze for a few seconds. I took a deep breath and reached out to feel the other me's thigh. "What are you doing? Stop touching me." I'm just touching myself." Her face turned thunderous. I fumbled to pull out my phone and opened the front-facing camera. A face so handsome it was infuriating stared back from the screen. Everyone at S University knew this face. It was Jiang Che. The campus heartthrob, Jiang Che, and I had swapped bodies. Or rather, we'd swapped souls. After a moment of stunned silence, a slow grin spread across my face. My inner fangirl was screaming. I was so excited I was practically rubbing my hands together in glee. This was the swim team's heartthrob, famous for his 8-pack abs. Just then, an icy voice cut in. "Wipe your drool. And take your hands off me. Stop copping a feel." Busted. He'd caught me secretly feeling his abs. I sheepishly pulled back my wandering hand. Then, my brain disconnected from my mouth, and I blurted out, "So, does showering count as touching, too?" Jiang Che stared at me, his face as black as thunder. To break the awkward silence, I cleared my throat, turned my phone screen around, and held it out to him. "Let me introduce myself. I'm Qiao Xia, the owner of the body you're in right now." His expression was composed. "Jiang Che. Physics major, senior year. But why did we swap bodies?" Jiang Che's gaze fell on the shards scattered on the floor. "It might have been this brainwave device. It's a research project of mine. Though I'm not sure about the exact mechanism. That kind of crazy tech is real? So, can we switch back?" I asked, patting down the pockets and pulling out his phone to hand to him. He took the phone. "Maybe, but not anytime soon. The device is destroyed. I'll have to order new parts from overseas, and reassembly will take at least 2 months. 2 months? I froze on the spot. What are we going to do? Jiang Che looked up, his tone calm. For now, we have no choice. We'll have to live as each other. No way. You're a physics major, I'm an art major. You're a guy, I'm a girl. We'll be exposed in a heartbeat. What if we tell someone? Jiang Che shot me a look, his expression as placid as if he were observing a stupid hamster. You want to be captured and turned into a lab experiment? No. I swallowed hard. I pictured a bunch of scientists pinning me to an examination table like a lab rat, zapping me with all sorts of instruments, measuring my brainwaves. The very thought was terrifying. So, what if you start getting handsy with my body? Jiang Che scoffed. Don't you think I'm the one who should be worried here? Arg, why'd you have to be so brutally honest? Do I get to keep any of my pride? What happened to the untouchable Ice Prince persona? Why can't you just stay in character? I shot him a wounded look, then glanced down at the time. My expression changed in an instant. 3:25. Crap. There's something urgent I need you to do for me. Jiang Che looked up. What is it? I blinked, feeling a little guilty. Well, I have plans to meet Suzuching from your physics department at the coffee shop by the campus gate at 3:30. His expression was frigid. It's a date. Don't call it meeting up. Damn him and his sharp tongue. But I needed his help, so, rein it in. Rein it in. Don't start cursing, asterisk. Right. So, can you go in my place? His face instantly clouded over, as if he'd been struck by lightning. I don't date men. Please? I'm begging you. You seem like such a nice guy. I clasped my hands together, giving him my most pathetic puppy dog eyes, praying he'd take pity on me. I'm not. And I don't date guys. You really can't help me out? His tone was firm. No. Fine. If you're going to be unreasonable, don't blame me for fighting dirty. I narrowed my eyes, a malicious grin spreading across my face. If you don't go, then tomorrow I'll use your body to confess to Suzuching. You dare. A vein pulsed on Jiang Che's temple, and his breath hitched. I raised an eyebrow, my expression pure challenge. A few seconds later, he took a deep breath and grit out, "You play dirty." The Ice Prince had finally caved. With the resolve of a man walking to his execution, Jiang Che stepped into the coffee shop. A moment later, I pushed the door open and followed him in, picking a nearby table and straining my ears to eavesdrop. "Xiaxia, you look so beautiful today." Jiang Che looked like he'd lost the will to live. "Your eyes are like the stars, your lips like roses, your aura like..." Suzuching said, his voice dripping with affection. Jiang Che's lips twitched into a stiff smile. "Shut up." "Oh, are you getting shy?" Suzuching chuckled. "No need to be. Cute girls like you are my absolute favorite, Xiaxia." Jiang Che's fists clenched tighter, and I could faintly hear his knuckles cracking in protest. After just a few more sentences, Jiang Che's patience officially ran out. "I'm not feeling well, I'm going to head out." "Then let's reschedule. You get some rest when you get home, Xiaxia. Otherwise, I'll be worried about you." Before he could finish, Jiang Che was already striding out of the coffee shop, his back radiating an aura of desperate escape. In a secluded spot by the lake, Jiang Che stood with his arms crossed, shooting me an exasperated sideways glance. "What kind of greasy creep did you set me up with?" His mouth is seriously venomous. I hope his words don't end up poisoning my body for real. Truth be told, today was my first real date with the senior. We'd only seen each other a few times at school before this. He seemed like a gentle and considerate guy, anyway. I figured there was no harm in trying to date. I didn't want to admit it, but now that Jiang Che put it that way, the senior did seem a little greasy. "Anyway, this thing between you two is your business. You handle it. I am absolutely not going on another date with him." I nodded hurriedly. "Thanks for your help today. Is there anything you need me to do?" "You're thanking me? Weren't you just threatening me?" I gave his shoulder a suck-up pat. "Ah, come on. You're the bigger person here. Don't hold it against me, okay?" Seeing my properly repentant attitude, Jiang Che let it go. "It's the beginning of the semester, so there are no exams. Just go to my classes. There's a physics competition in 2.5 months, so we need to switch back as soon as possible. Also, swim team practice is at 3 p.m. every Friday. You can't miss it." I spoke up meekly, "I can't really swim. You're in my body, so swimming shouldn't be a problem. Just go and try." I was still secretly trying to figure out how to get out of it when he dropped the real bombshell. "And 200 push-ups and 200 sit-ups every day." My eyes widened. 200 a day? That was going to kill me. I don't exercise at all. Jiang Che said heartlessly, "Say another word and it's 250. Whatever. He'll never know if I only do 199. What about you? Daily skincare and sunscreen. And don't eat anything too spicy, or it'll go right through you. Wash your hair every 3 days. I'm a man, not a caveman." I laughed awkwardly. True, Jiang Che didn't seem like the sloppy type at all. "Alright, then. Let's keep in touch. One more thing," he said, suddenly grabbing my arm and warning me coldly, "don't go touching my body all over, and don't you dare use it to do anything perverted." TSK, way to block all the fun roads. I couldn't resist testing the waters. Does showering count as touching? Jiang Che was silent for 2 seconds before biting out, it does not. Does holding it to pee count as perverted? Through gritted teeth, Jiang Che said, no. I thought for a moment and added a condition of my own. Then you can't look down when you're showering. Fine. After we exchanged class schedules and other personal info, I was about to turn and leave when I remembered one more thing. Oh, and one more thing. Don't chew gum. I have a filling in one of my teeth. Jiang Che. The look on his face seemed to ask why his life had to take such a ridiculous turn, and why, on top of it all, he was stuck with someone who couldn't even chew gum. Friday was swim team practice. In Jiang Che's body, I braced myself and stepped into the natatorium. The second I reached the locker room door, I saw a bunch of buff guys, all shirtless, warming up. I froze on the spot. Good Lord, in my entire life, I had never seen so much living, breathing flesh. Jiang Che? What are you spacing out for? The coach clapped me on the shoulder. Ahem. I don't feel so good. I started backing away, scrambling for an excuse. I took a fall yesterday. The coach eyed me suspiciously for a second before finally waving his hand. All right, take the day off. You can make it up next week. Feeling like I'd been granted a pardon, I beat a hasty retreat. I'm still a girl on the inside, I just wasn't ready to go shirtless. On my way out of the natatorium, I stopped to buy a bag of cat food and went to my usual spot to feed the strays. Hey, Big Orange, haven't seen you in a few days. Looks like you've gained some weight. Big Orange glanced at me, gave a half-hearted meow, and went right back to chowing down. He didn't come over to rub against me like he usually did. Now that I was in a different body, not even the cats recognized me. Suddenly, I remembered Jiang Che's computer wallpaper. I think it was a photo of Big Orange. There was a blurry figure in the corner of the picture, someone who kind of looked like me. I have no idea when he took it. I never would have guessed he liked Big Orange that much, enough to make him his wallpaper. While I was feeding the cats, Jiang Che, back in the girls' dorm, was going through the shock of his life. Xiao Xia. His weak voice came through the phone. Are there razor blades in your stomach? I gave an awkward laugh. Sorry about that. I forgot to warn you. It's that time of the month. It turned out that during his art history class that afternoon, his stomach had started hurting so badly that his face went pale. It scared the professor, Mr. Liu, who thought he'd come down with some serious illness. He refused to go to the school clinic, insisting he'd be fine after some rest, so Mr. Liu had a couple of students help him back to the dorm. The pain usually only lasts half a day. You'll be fine after you get some sleep. Check the drawer, are there any painkillers? No. After agonizing over it for a bit, I decided I had to go buy him some. I geared up with a mask and a hat and snuck into the pharmacy to buy the medicine. Remembering his supplies were probably running low, I also bought some pads at a small supermarket and asked the dorm mom to pass them along to him. She beamed at me. What a sweet and thoughtful young man. Goes to show, life is just different when you're handsome. Even with a mask and hat on, my whole body practically screamed total hottie. I'd never seen the dorm mom smile that sweetly before. I never would have guessed the students at my school were no better than the paparazzi. That afternoon, the school forum blew up. A trending post appeared on the homepage, shocking. The campus heartthrob is on his period. Attached to the post was a photo secretly taken at the campus convenience store, with an analysis laid out with surprising conviction. Evidence 1, the campus heartthrob bought pads. Evidence 2, he's never been linked to any girl. Conclusion, the campus heartthrob gets his period. Me? Back in my dorm room, my phone was blowing up. The second I opened WeChat, a voice message from Jiang Che popped up. Xiao Xia, you have ruined me, he said through gritted teeth. Meanwhile, I was on my end of the line, laughing so hard I could barely breathe. Why don't you just ask the admin to delete it? If I delete it, won't that just make me look guilty? He retorted coldly. When I checked the post again that night, I saw a new, pinned comment. Jiang Che, it just so happened that a girl needed some help. Please respect women's biological needs. I also hope everyone will refrain from taking and posting photos of me without my consent. The comment section instantly turned into an ocean of pink, with swarms of fangirls leaving pink heart emojis. There were also comments like, not only is Senior Jiang devastatingly handsome, but his values are incredible too. Maybe, he really was a little different. I quietly closed the browser tab. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw my roommate walk in. He casually glanced at my desk. Oh, by the way, I've been meaning to ask. Why the SpongeBob phone case? My mind raced, but my expression didn't change. Just felt like a change of mood. You don't like it? Better to deflect with a question than to answer one. My roommate scratched his head. No, it's cute. Then he changed the subject. But you've been a little different lately. You used to be so quiet. Want some cashews? I quickly shoved a bag into his hands, successfully derailing the conversation. He looked pleasantly surprised. Thanks. That was a close one. I'd managed to throw him off. Jiang Che and I didn't swap computers. He has a desktop and I have a laptop, it would have been too obvious. But there was no way we couldn't swap phones. I thought things could finally go on peacefully. Fate, however, had other plans. One moment, I was still in my dream, reliving the scene from last night when I looked in the mirror. The man in the mirror was tall and well-built, with broad shoulders and a narrow waist. His 8-pack abs and V-lines were clearly visible. Even just standing there casually, he exuded an air of refined, distant coolness. The next second, my alarm clock blared. I groggily opened my eyes, and just as I was about to roll out of bed, I noticed something strange with the covers. I was wide awake in an instant. WTF? It was already 7:30, and my 8 a.m. class was about to start. With no other choice, I got up with a grimace and messaged Jiang Che for help. You there? You there? It's an emergency. He replied in less than 10 seconds. What's wrong? It's just, I hesitated for what felt like an eternity, finally made up my mind, and typed out a few words. You're, at attention. Then, I watched the top of my screen as Jiang Che in typing flickered back and forth. After a long moment, he sent a message back, it'll go down in a bit. 15 minutes later, I frantically typed, it's not working. It's not working. It's stubbornly holding its ground. I'm going to be late. Just take a cold shower. I could practically imagine the exasperated look on his face on the other end. But you really can't blame me for this. After a lightning-fast cold shower, I grabbed the first shirt and pants I could find in the closet, threw them on, and sprinted to class. I was late, but thankfully, since I was Jiang Che, the model student, the professor just turned a blind eye. However, one absurd thing started happening after another. After a torturous day of physics, I was finally free when classes let out for the evening. The moment I stepped out of the classroom, someone cornered me at a bend in the hallway. A pretty girl stood in front of me, blushing, her sparkling eyes fixed on me as she held out an elegantly wrapped box of chocolates. I made these myself. I hope you like them. Before I could even react, she was gone, bolting like a frightened deer. Wasn't that Bai Yue, the campus belle? Later, I mentioned it to Jiang Che. He frowned. Just ignore her. I nodded obediently. And don't take anything from her. I gave an awkward laugh and rubbed my nose. Already took them. And ate them. They were actually pretty good. His face instantly darkened. Careful she doesn't poison you. It won't happen again. I immediately promised. After a moment of silence, my curiosity got the better of me. So, why are you so against Bai Yue? Jiang Che's expression was cold. I don't know her. She follows me around every day. It's creepy, okay? He paused, his expression turning even more exasperated. This morning, she even grabbed my hair and warned me to stay away from Jiang Che. I sucked in a sharp breath. So Bai Yue must have found out that Jiang Che and I see each other from time to time. Thank goodness I'm not the one she's making trouble for. Jiang Che rubbed his temples. In any case, you stay away from that psycho. I nodded furiously. Come to the lab at the end of the hall on the 6th floor of the science building. Although I had no idea what he wanted, I packed up my things and headed toward the science building. Pushing open the lab door, I saw Jiang Che standing in front of a bench piled high with equipment, a thick stack of papers in his hand. "Training for the physics competition starts in a week," he said, lowering his voice. "If my teacher finds out I don't know anything, forget about my spot. I might not even be able to keep my regular grades up." I flipped through the papers. They were filled with dense formulas and experiment procedures. From electromagnetism to quantum mechanics, it covered almost everything that could be on the competition. I was dumbfounded. "I have to memorize all of this?" "No, just familiarize yourself with the quantum mechanics section for now. This training session only covers quantum mechanics." "Is the Schrödinger equation related to Schrödinger's cat?" "They were both proposed by Schrödinger, but their function and significance are completely different. The Schrödinger equation describes how the wave function of a quantum system evolves over time. Schrödinger's cat, on the other hand, illustrates the measurement problem and quantum superposition." Thanks. I don't get it." For the next few days, we practically lived in the lab. Even though I had a basic foundation in high school physics, I was completely clueless when it came to quantum mechanics. But Jiang Che never got tired of explaining it to me over and over again. Sometimes, I would find myself spacing out, just staring at the light filtering through his long eyelashes. He would gently tap my head with his pen. "Don't space out." The night before the training session, we stayed up late. "You should get home and rest. Good luck tomorrow." Jiang Che stood up first and ruffled my hair. My heart was beating a little fast. Such a strange feeling. I looked up at him, but he just turned and walked away. It must have been my imagination. Thank God, his teacher didn't seem to notice anything was off. I finally relaxed after being on edge for days. Back in my dorm that night, my head felt heavy and I was shivering all over. I touched my forehead, and it was hot enough to fry an egg. Outside, rain was pouring down, rattling against the glass. One of my roommates was out, and the other two were zoned in on their games with headphones on. I pulled out my phone and called Jiang Che. "Jiang Che, I think I'm running a fever. Can you go get me some medicine? And maybe some strawberries, too." After all, it was his body, it was only right for him to get the medicine. And I was too embarrassed to ask my roommates to go out and buy fruit for me. To my surprise, he agreed without the slightest hesitation. And so, another juicy piece of gossip started making the rounds on the school forum. "Xiao Xia, total simp for campus heartthrob, makes rainy night sick call." The post was accompanied by a photo, the lonely figure of Xiao Xia from behind, standing outside the men's dorm with an umbrella and a bag of medicine. The sight almost made me black out. Who has this much time on their hands? Spying on other people's lives 24/7? And how the hell did I, Xiao Xia, become a simp? Even if I was trying to win him over, why jump straight to calling me a simp? I may not be as gorgeous as the campus queen, but I'm a total sweetheart, at the very least. This is infuriating. This world is insane. I just don't get it. And just as insane as the world was by Yue. Right after class, I was cornered on my way to the cafeteria. "Jiang Che, I like you." Bai Yue lowered her head, her voice tinged with shyness. I stood there, wearing the shell of the most popular guy in school, facing a heartfelt confession from the universally acknowledged campus belle. Bai Yue clutched the hem of her skirt, mustering up her courage. "I really, really like you. Can you give me a chance?" My scalp tingled. It was like she had a split personality. Shyly confessing on one hand, and on the other, yanking Jiang Che's hair and threatening him. I couldn't quite get a read on her mental state. I really wanted to tell her, "The guy whose hair you were pulling a couple of days ago is the one you have a crush on." Suddenly, I remembered something else. That rumor about Xiao Xia being a desperate simp was most likely her handiwork too. I cleared my throat, trying to defuse the situation. "Classmate Bai, actually." "Jiang Che?" A calm voice sounded from behind me. My heart skipped a beat. I whipped my head around to see the real Jiang Che standing a few steps away, his gaze as sharp as a knife. With an undeniable air of authority, he stepped right between me and Bai Yue. His tone was firm. "Sorry, he's not interested." Bai Yue froze, her face suddenly pale. What's it to you? He told me he doesn't like you. Jiang Che tossed the words out coldly, then grabbed my wrist and started pulling me away. Hey, what are you doing? I protested in a low voice. His brow was furrowed, his voice laced with disgust. Didn't I tell you to ignore her? Ignoring her seems a little rude, don't you think? Jiang Che sneered. You can't even handle something this small. No wonder you get tricked. I froze. Who tricked me? Su Ziqing. He gave me a speechless glance. How could you even like him? Your taste is abysmal. First of all, I barely know him. Second, if you have something to say, say it. Don't attack me personally. Jiang Che pulled me to a less crowded spot and let go of my hand. I swear, you must be blind to fall for a greasy player like that who hits on multiple girls at once. You even posted that cheap, $3 bracelet he gave you on your feed. Hearing this, I stared at him in shock. How did he know? I deleted that post a few days ago because I was embarrassed about it. When was he stalking my social media feed? You can't just go digging up people's dirt like that. Still, I decided to defend myself. It was the first time a guy had ever given me a gift. Having been single since birth, I was over the moon. Even though I knew the bracelet was cheap, I was so excited I posted it anyway. You need better taste, Jiang Che said coldly. Me? Seeing my deflated expression, his mood seemed to lift. He continued, that greasy player came looking for me to get milk tea yesterday. I couldn't get out of it without making him suspicious, so I had to go. And then some psycho runs in, says Su Ziqing is hers, calls me a homewrecker, and throws a face full of milk tea at me. At that, my eyes widened in shock. Something like that actually happened? Are you okay? I'm fine. He paused, then said grimly, in my entire life, I, Jiang Che, never thought I'd be called a homewrecker. And from what that girl was saying, you're not the first one he's hit on. You're probably like, number 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. I forced a smile. I told you, I don't know him that well. At most, I just had a little crush on him before. A scumbag like that will get what's coming to him. Good, as long as you see it now. I warned him to stay away from me from now on. Yeah, good riddance. On the outside, I seemed calm and collected, but on the inside, I was cursing out Su's entire family tree for 18 generations. That Su Ziqing, what a piece of work. I've never even kissed a guy, and now I'm being called a homewrecker out of nowhere. And right on cue, the clueless idiot showed up. The second he saw Jiang Che, he started laying into him. Xia Xia, why are you avoiding me? I stepped forward, cutting him off and shielding Jiang Che behind me. No girlfriend? But you've got a whole collection of little sisters, don't you? When Su Ziqing saw it was me, his expression changed. Jiang Che? This is none of your business. Xiao Xia is my friend. Besides, just listen to yourself. Do you even sound human? Since when are you two friends? Su Ziqing looked at me in disbelief and reached for Jiang Che. I took half a step forward and pushed him away. You don't need to know. All you need to know is that you'd better stay away from her, or you'll find out I know how to throw a punch. He was so furious he could only point at me, speechless. I slapped his hand away. You what? You're a toad trying to hook up with a frog, ugly and a player. Get lost. The most devastating part was, I was now about 4 inches taller than Su Ziqing, giving me a perfect view of his thinning hair. I must have been blind before. I turned to leave, only to find a crowd of onlookers had gathered behind us. I was about to bolt when Jiang Che grabbed the corner of my shirt. I'd almost forgotten, I had to maintain my aloof campus king persona. The public is completely blind. A trending post with the hashtag campus heartthrob goes crazy for love popped up on the school forum. The post included a picture of me furiously telling off Su Ziqing, looking like something straight out of a cheesy teen drama. Wait a minute. I was clearly calling out a scumbag, so how did I become the one hashtag going crazy for love? I put on my most innocent, puppy dog expression and looked at Jiang Che. I'm so sorry. I was just too impulsive. I never thought it would get twisted into something this ridiculous. Jiang Che glanced at me. It's fine. What's important is that you see his true colors. He wasn't even mad. Sobs, he might be a little cold, but he's a total saint. As I looked away, something suddenly struck me as odd. Wait a minute. How come you're the one going crazy for love, but I'm the simp? What's with the double standard? A rare smile played on his lips, and his tone was teasing. The public knows what it sees. Okay, so maybe the public is a little blind, but I have to admit, Jiang Che is ridiculously charming. Especially every time I look in the mirror. I'm practically drooling. What's going through your head? And could you please stop making that creepy expression with my face? His voice snapped me out of it. I looked down to see Jiang Che staring up at me with a suspicious look on his face. Ahem, I cleared my throat, trying to act casual. It's nothing. It's just that between being a simp and being a person, I'll take being a person. This was not good. Underneath that trending post was another one. #shocking. Dramatic love confession showdown outside the academic building yesterday. The accompanying photo was of Bai Yue, blushing shyly as she confessed her feelings to Jiang Che, just as I swooped in, coldly shut her down, and even pulled Jiang Che away by the hand. With the two posts back to back, the timelines lined up perfectly, and the online spectators wasted no time piecing together a whole dramatic saga. The comments section was blowing up. A lot of students couldn't understand why Jiang Che would reject the campus belle for me. Feeling a little down, I quickly posted a comment to explain. Jiang Che and I are just good friends. He was just sticking up for me back there. Jiang Che commented below it, too. I looked closer and was completely floored. Please don't badmouth Xiaoxia. She's great. Dude, I asked you to clear things up, not to add fuel to the fire. I found Jiang Che in the lab. The parts he'd ordered had been trickling in, and he'd started tinkering with that brainwave device last week. Jiang Che, that comment of yours, were you trying to fan the flames? I was telling the truth. He suddenly turned around, his gaze calm and focused on me. You're great. He paused, as if weighing the gravity of each word. In my eyes, you aren't second to anyone. Don't listen to their nonsense. His earnest expression left me flustered for a moment. Jiang Che was the first person to ever say that to me. Thank you, but what are we going to do about this? I'm guessing most of the school knows by now. Let them talk. In a few days, everyone will forget about it. Well, if the man at the center of it all was going to just let it slide, then so was I. Besides, being in a scandal with the campus heartthrob wasn't exactly a loss for me. At the same time, I realized something was a little off about my own reaction. Not only was I not bothered by the rumor, I was actually a little pleased with myself. I thought that was the end of it. But as it turned out, Bai Yue had also seen those two posts. I went to check on Jiang Che every day. That day, I'd just gotten downstairs when I saw Bai Yue storm into the lab building, her gaze locked intently on Jiang Che beside me. Xiaoxia, she said, stepping forward, her eyes glinting with challenge. Jiang Che glanced up at her, his expression cold. What do you want? Bai Yue gritted her teeth. I won't accept this. Jiang Che. Bai Yue then turned to me. Senior, how is she better than me? I was at a loss. How was I supposed to answer? Compliment her on being prettier than me, or compliment myself? When I didn't answer, Bai Yue clenched her fists, her tone leaving no room for argument. Xiaoxia, let's have a competition. The loser stays away from Senior Jiang, and the winner gets to go on a date with him. Jiang Che glanced down at her, the corner of his mouth twisting into a derisive smirk. A competition? You sure about that? Bai Yue tilted her chin up. Of course. And to be fair, you can pick the event, anything but dancing or painting. Jiang Che scoffed, his gaze sharp. Let's make it a 200-meter swim, then. We'll compete in something Jiang Che is good at. I nearly choked. Wait, what is happening right now? You're using me as the prize in your bet, did either of you think to ask me? Jiang Che shot me a look, and I immediately shut my mouth. Fine, whatever. Technically, he was the one being bet on anyway. Honestly, I was curious to see who would win. Jiang Che was on the swim team. The problem was, he was currently in my body, and I'm completely unathletic. At the pool, the race began. Bai Yue swam her heart out, but she was left trailing in his wake, completely unable to match his speed. By the time Bai Yue finally touched the wall, Jiang Che gave her a ruthless sneer. "That's it?" Bai Yue's face flushed crimson. She glared at him, her eyes filled with bitter indignation. But beyond the indignation, I saw a flicker of suspicion in her eyes. "We had to switch back, and fast. A bet's a bet. Stay away from Jiang Che from now on." With that, Jiang Che turned and headed for the locker room without a backward glance, cutting a cool and confident figure. I never imagined my own body could exude such an imperious air. Noticing I was staring at Xiao Xia, Bai Yue snorted in frustration and stormed off. When he came out of the locker room, Jiang Che was waiting for me, looking completely unruffled. "So, have you thought about where you want to go on our date?" My heart started to pound in my chest. What did he mean? He couldn't really be taking this bet seriously, could he? Was he just kidding, or did he actually like me, too? Inside the lab, sunlight streamed through the window, spilling across the table where I was focused on editing a drawing on my tablet. I'd been drawing in the lab lately to keep anyone from finding out. The male lead in the picture, with his slender build and star-bright eyes, was none other than Jiang Che. To get it just right, I'd even been secretly tracing the lines of his abs in the mirror, replicating them perfectly. Suddenly, a soft chuckle came from behind me. "Doing some drawing?" I whipped my head around, nearly falling out of my chair. Jiang Che was standing right behind me, hands in his pockets, a playful smirk on his lips. His gaze fell to the tablet in my hands, and he raised an eyebrow. "That's a pretty good likeness." I fumbled to hide the screen, but he gently caught my wrist. He leaned in, his lips close to my ear. "But you missed a detail." I froze. "What detail?" He chuckled, and a long finger pointed to the figure in the drawing. "My collarbones are more defined." I went completely still, my face instantly flushing hot. "Looks like someone's been spending a lot of time in front of the mirror." "Oh my God, just shut up." I scrambled to my feet, reaching out to cover his mouth. But he straightened up, dodging my hand and placing his own on my shoulder. "That comic they were talking about at the manga club last time I went, this is it, isn't it?" Crap. He'd found out about my serialized comic, The Arrogant Campus Prince Falls for Me. "Listen, let me explain. The club president commissioned this. I was drawing it long before I even met you." When he just raised an eyebrow without a word, I swallowed my guilt and said, "It's all true. I have absolutely no improper thoughts about you." Hearing that, he seemed displeased, shooting me a sidelong glance as he turned toward the lab bench. "Come help. Let's get this device assembled so we can switch back." It seemed he couldn't stand to spend another day in my body. After 2 weeks of hard work, Jiang Che solemnly produced 2 brainwave headsets. My gaze held a mix of anticipation and nervousness. After we put on the headsets, Jiang Che flipped the switch. Nothing happened. We stared at each other blankly. "What's going on?" He lowered his head in thought, his fingers tapping lightly on the tabletop without answering. I thought back to the day I ran into him, and an idea suddenly flashed through my mind. "Don't tell me we have to knock our heads together again, hard?" Jiang Che shot me a speechless glance. I'd rather not get a concussion right before the physics competition. I bit my lip, thinking for a moment. Could it have something to do with other conditions? The weather? The location? That's possible. He pulled out his phone, tapped it a few times, then looked up at me. "It's supposed to be overcast the day after tomorrow. Let's go back to that lake and try again." 2 days later, in the afternoon, the sky was overcast, and the air by the lake felt damp. The devices flickered. Jiang Che and I, sitting on a bench, slowly brought our heads together. There was a flash of light, and everything went black. When I opened my eyes again, the familiar sensations of my own body were back. Did it work? I patted myself, feeling the long-lost familiarity of my own body. Across from me, Jiang Che slowly opened his eyes. He looked down at his own palms, then let out a slow breath. "I'm back." We could finally go back to our own lives. When I stood up, my body felt so much lighter that I did a couple of little hops. "I've been getting up early to work out every day this whole time. I suggest you keep it up." you're asking the impossible. I've never been one to exercise. I didn't have the heart to tell him that I slacked off on his sit-up and push-up routine every day, only doing 150. I jog by the lake at 7 every morning, he added. You can join me, if you want. Before my brain could even process it, my mouth blurted out, sure. The second I agreed, I regretted it. Every day? At 7 in the morning? That was basically a death sentence. But then again, I'd be running with the campus heartthrob. He'd probably be wearing a tight t-shirt and shorts that showed off his long legs. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad after all. I climbed 5 flights of stairs back to my dorm, and I wasn't even out of breath. Once things were quiet, I suddenly felt a little empty. It was like after a fantastic adventure, the hero has to return to their ordinary life. I couldn't drool at myself in the mirror anymore. I opened my laptop, and on some strange impulse, I clicked on my browser history. And there it was, Jiang Che's search history on my computer. How to stop your crush from going to a scumbag when she's hungry. What to do when your crush isn't into you. Isn't into me? Could it be because of what I said that day? Wait a minute, a crush? Had Jiang Che been possessed? The person he has a crush on, it couldn't be me, could it? My fingers trembled slightly as I called Jiang Che. Jiang Che, you forgot to clear your browser history. You saw? His voice was calm, as if he wasn't surprised at all. Why were you searching for that? I pretended to be calm, but my heart was pounding like a seal clapping inside my chest. Xiao Xia, have I been flirting with a brick wall? His tone was a mix of exasperation and amusement. I was so shocked, I almost dropped my phone. You did it on purpose? His tone was certain. You calling me proves you're into me, too. What if I hadn't looked at the browser history? I knew you would. Fine. He really gets me, the curious cat that I am. Come downstairs. I'm almost there. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself, and held the phone a little further away. I was afraid he'd hear my heart pounding. Xiao Xia, are you still there? Jiang Che's voice came through again, deep and gentle. I'll be right down. I hurriedly hung up, dabbed on some lipstick, grabbed my jacket, and rushed out the door. As I stepped out of the dorm building, the night wind hit my face. I looked up and saw Jiang Che standing under a streetlight not far away, his figure tall and lean, holding a bouquet of blue baby's breath. When he saw me, he walked over, step by step, and held the flowers out to me, his gaze steady. Xiao Xia, let's go. His gaze was intense and focused, and my heart felt like it was about to burst out of my chest. Go where? Didn't you win your bet with Bai Yue? You're going on a date with me. What? But that was you who? So, are you going or not? I'm going. Jiang Che's lips curved into a slight smile. He reached out and ruffled my hair, and then, before I could react, he leaned down and placed a gentle kiss on my forehead.